Hello, everybody. This is Dissonant Waves. We are here again with episode 37, where we all feel joy, depression, sorrow, happiness, and the
And Hääxxan.
and the thrills of garage rock. And Hääxxan, yes. Jason,
Yes.
Chasan, whatever you want to call it.
Chasm.
So we've got Sufjan Stevens, and Sufjan Stevens invites you to come on, feel the Illinois. And they got Mount Eerie, a crow looked at me, and Chasan's Chasan. I'm Dominic.
See, I already screw up enough with Trix's pronouns. I'm not even going to attempt that.
It's a different language. That's entirely different.
Yeah.
Welcome to Dissonant Waves.
You
Which
already-
one do we want to start on here?
We gotta start with.
Do
we're
we feel
doing
like getting upset or upset later?
We're gonna do Sufjan Stevens first.
We gotta do Sufjan Stevens first.
'Cause
Man,
Yeah.
Illinois
this is easily like the best album I've found for $1 in a thrift shop.
I think Caretaker aside, it is also the biggest album we've ever done in terms of just sound and what it does.
Yeah.
Like there's so much going on, it's hard to comprehend on like a full listen all the way through.
Yeah.
It is like 22 tracks, just the vanilla version alone, 22 tracks.
And 74 minutes long.
Which, yeah, I'm trying to think, like, if we take Caretaker out, like, well, Caretaker was technically in a bunch of different stages over years anyway.
That's
so
true.
I'm wondering, yeah, is this actually the longest album we've done? But I feel like we've done longer.
I mean maybe in terms of length, but not in terms of like how many songs and how many progressions and dynamic changes there are.
And number of fucking words in the song titles.
Okay, we're gonna do these songs. We're gonna say the titles in a round. Okay, are we all ready for this?
No,
I'm gonna Riddle, and you're gonna start with the first one.
no, I'm not. I'm not.
Okay,
Sorry, son.
Trix, you want to do it between us?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, I'll do number one. The first Sufjan Stevens song off Illinois is called "Concerning the UFO Sighting Near Highland, Illinois."
Number 2 is The Black Hawk War, or How to Demolish an Entire Civilization and Still Feel Good About Yourself in the Morning, or We Apologize for the Inconvenience, but You're Going to Have to Leave Now, or I Will Have Fought the Big Knives and Will Continue to Fight them until they are off our lands.
And number.
So I hope you realize by the time that we're done here, we're actually done with the allocated time that we would have for Sufjan Stevens.
Oh fuck that! We're gonna do with Sufjan Stevens for a whole hour if I can get away with it.
No.
Number 3 is "Come On, Feel the Illinois."
With part 1, the World's Columbian Exposition, and part 2, Carl Sandburg Visits Me in a Dream.
I guess that means number 4 then is John Wayne Gacy Jr.
Number 5 is Jacksonville.
Number 6 is a short reprise for Mary Todd, who went insane, but for very good reasons.
Number 7 is Decatur, or A Round of Applause for Your Stepmother.
Number 8 is One Last Woohoo for the Pullman.
Number 9 is Chicago.
Number 10 is Casimir Pulaski Day.
Number 11 is To the Workers of the Rock River Valley region, I Have an Idea Concerning Your Predicament.
Number 12 is The Man of Metropolis Steals Our Hearts.
Number 13 is Prairie Fire That Wanders About.
Number 14 is a conjunction of drones simulating the way in which Sufjan Stevens has an existential crisis in the Great Godfrey Maze.
Number 15 is The Predatory Wasp of the Palisades Is Out to Get Us.
Number 16 is They Are Night Zombies! They are neighbors! They have come back from the dead! Ah!
Number 17 is Let's Hear That String Part Again, because I don't think they heard it on the way out in Bushnell. The way out in Bushnell.
Number 18 is In This Temple is in the hearts of man for whom he saved the earth.
Number 19 is The Sears Tower.
Number 20 is The Tallest Man, the Broadest Shoulders.
Part 1, The Great Frontier. Part 2, Come to Me Only with Playthings Now.
Number 21 then is Riffs and Variations on a Single Note for Jelly Roll, Earl Hines, Louis Armstrong, Baby Dodds, and the King of Swing, to name a few.
Out of Egypt into the great laugh of mankind, I Shake the Dirt from My Sandals as I Run is number 22 and the last song.
Yes. And that only took 3 minutes. How about that?
Uh,
You got through the first song and a half.
I think it's amazing just like how many times in this album they just go like, "Hey, let's just make this part another song just so we can make another joke in the goddamn title." Like the ending to Dicatur, a round of applause for your stepmother, where it's literally just like, "Hey, we ended it with another woohoo. Let's just make that a separate track. 6 seconds and then it goes straight into Chicago." It's like
It's fun.
I don't even know why you would bother with that kind of meme, but it fucks up Spotify every time that it happens because the song goes so short that it doesn't actually count. So it goes into Chicago, and it forgets to actually tick up the time played. So it still says like 5 minutes into it that 0 seconds of the song has played. It's a good prank there, Sufjan Stevens. It was many years in the making.
You fucked up Spotify before it really existed.
Yep.
I mean, I think for some of these, I call them coda songs in my notes. I think some of these coda songs at least try to hold on to the notes a little bit and try to do something with them. I think the woohoo is kind of just for a meme, but I don't know, stuff like was it the tallest or the fuck? Let's hear that string part again. Let's hear that string part again. In this temple as in the hearts of man actually does stuff with the ending of Night Zombies into Sears Tower. I think that's cool. Like it's a fluid motion from one to the next for like 4 songs. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree with that section. I think like there's some sections kind of like more at the start where it kind of felt like, yeah, it kind of just could have been a continuation of the actual song. I mean, it kind of is anyway. So
Yeah, sonically it is. It's just that the titles are there.
It's not really a complaint or anything. I just think it's a really weird meme. But, well, I mean, more power to them, I guess.
I mean, also the way when I was listening to it to take notes, it was interesting how when I was when I actually like sat down with it, it kind of separated itself into really like different suites, different movements or sections, and how each of them were punctuated with a very kind of you think of like a Sufjan Stevens song. It's kind of downbeat and acoustic, right? Because like the first few tracks, and then you get to John Wayne Gacy Jr., and then we go for a while, and then you get to Casimir Pulaski Day. And then we go for a while, and you get to like, you want to count like Prairie Fire or the Predatory Wasp or the Palisades, and then like the Sears Tower is like the other one. Like there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's like every once in a while there's this kind of bridging moment of like this calm song that's melodic and about like a serial killer or like someone dying of bone cancer.
We got to keep talking about cancer in this episode, aren't we?
I guarantee no cancer talk on Häxxan.
That's true.
But we can talk about a big straw hat.
Sufjan Stevens and his straw hats are good. And
this is an album where I think I probably do prefer a lot of the first half and stuff. And if you ask me for a highlight, I haven't, but it's still very, very strong the whole way through.
Yes.
It feels like the type of music that I personally shouldn't enjoy, and despite having all these highlights and stuff like that, I don't find myself coming back to this album too often, except for sometimes I put on Chicago, but really that's it. I've just found other Sufjan Stevens songs that I more care about in this time, especially from like Carry on the Well and stuff. But it's an album that you go the whole way through, and it's an impressive masterpiece.
Oh yeah,
from start to finish. It does so much, but with like there's so many instruments and stuff like that. But no song actually sounds the same without straying away from this kind of instrumentation kind of concept that it's trying to do. Just trying to think of the best ways to describe it here. Like John Wayne Gacy Jr. or whatever it was. I think I've said that completely wrong.
No, you said it right.
It's very. I said it right. Is kind of like very soft and it almost kind of fits on like a Carry on the Well or something like that.
Exactly. Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
And then you have Chicago, which has all this kind of like orchestra background to it. it has like these criers and everything like that, and they're complete polar opposites of each other, and they're not that far away from the set list. But yeah, you're all right with all these kind of bridging moments that happen in them. It kind of flow together, and you kind of forget that they're so short together, like
Yeah.
so close together, despite being so varied. And that's, I mean, it's very impressive.
Yeah, I was like, for me too, like a lot of it is kind of in the front half, but then you listen to the back half of it, and I still think there's stuff there to find. Like, I think Prairie Fire That Wanders About is great. I think Predatory Wasp with the Palisades is also super, super good. Like, I think that especially, that gets to the whole, like, is this song about God or is it gay kind of thing? Because he talks about...
I can't wait till he does the next 48 states.
He technically did New York already, and New Jersey, and the BQE.
Fair enough.
Trix, you want to talk about some tracks you like?
I really liked, what was it? The Man of Metropolis Steals Our Hearts.
Is it Superman?
Yeah, and I just like the vibe of that song. Really, it's just a nice song. Obviously, John Wayne Gacy Jr. was a real fun listen. This was a weird album to listen to. I listened to it a few times. I was like, I need to like set aside. I didn't want to like just listen to like half the album and half the album later. I needed to like set aside a chunk to like listen to this album and just like interpret it. And I didn't do enough of that, but I really enjoyed the album, and I'm gonna end up listening to it more. But I do think towards the end of it, like on Out of Egypt, I Into the Great Laugh of Mankind, I shake the dirt from my sandals as I run. I feel like that kind of like dragged on for a little bit too long.
Yeah.
And towards the end, it just starts dragging ass.
The funny thing is, I think if you cut out both Concerning the UFO and Out of Egypt, you would still have a great beginning and ending.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Concerning the UFO. I think that piano is really good, and
the opening is fantastic to this album. Like the first, trying to remember, it's not just the first song. It's like going into, going into a short reprise. I would say every song there is fucking fantastic, and none of them are even the highlight for me.
Right.
Like I still like. I haven't really got a ranking for this week because I'm still not sure which one's the better album out of the kind of two going for first place here, because this is quite incredible, and both both the albums that are coming here for first place do have their own different reasons for being a better album. But
yeah,
you go into this, and it's much more easy listening despite being longer and larger.
Like, if you're not listening to it in like the idea of like I'm listening to it for a podcast, it's just a lot of music, and a lot of it's just nice, and you can relax to it.
Yeah.
And I mean, the first time I listened to this was it would have been a couple of years ago. Like, I was pretty late on Sufjan Stevens myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, listening to this just for the sake of listening to this is quite an enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
I was thinking of you, Trix, for the Night Zombie song, because there's a really funky bass in that.
I must not have been paying attention, or like because again, like I would put this on while I was like working or something. I sometimes like tracks miss me by, but I think I kind of remember that. I don't know.
Fair enough. Well, your memory remembers the Man of Metropolis.
Yeah, because I remember like, I really like this song. What's the title of it, so I can listen to it again later.
Fair. I think the Sears Tower is still probably one of my highlights. Like at the end of the album, like it's so dark.
I just realized that's the Sears Tower.
Yeah.
It's playing on the Sears Tower. Fuck.
It's very apocalyptic.
Or Willis Tower, as it's called now, is it?
Yeah. They might change it again. Who knows? But there's a fun story about the album, or the album art, and that originally Superman was on the album art, but they didn't get clearance for it. So the lawyers were like, "Hey, you should probably take it off of there." And so they put some balloons as a sticker on top of it of Superman. Then they put balloons for real on like the album art. And then for the 10th anniversary, Marvel was like, "Hey, you could put Blue Marvel on there if you want. He's from Chicago." So now he's on there in the 10th anniversary editions.
I'll look that up.
And I'm just watching the football at the moment, and my God, why do I support this team? Ugh.
Yeah, this is probably the longest album, The Black Hawk War, or How to Demolish an Entire Civilization and Still Feel Good About Yourself in the Morning, where we apologize for the inconvenience, but you're going to have to leave now, or I have fought the big knives and will continue to fight them until they're off our lands, is without a doubt the longest title we've ever had for a song.
Oh, yeah.
It is the joke that it takes as long to write it out as it is to listen to the song. It's like 2 minutes.
Yeah, I screenshotted it on my on YouTube Music. It took halfway through the song to get to the end of the song, and that wasn't even like the whole song title. It had an ellipses in it.
Yeah, on the digital iTunes version, it goes farther than that, but it still doesn't go far enough. So that, like, on an iPod or something, it'll just cut off eventually.
Mm-hmm.
I think Spotify manages to have most of it, but it still cuts off. It's
I mean,
insane how long it is. But to be honest, I kind of get sick of the joke of very long titles. They're just like, it's one laugh and then that's kind of it. It's like, oh haha, it's a long title. But then you go back to it and it's like, well, yeah, it's a long title.
Yeah, it kind of fits that mid 2000s version of like indie folk twee stuff.
Yeah.
Where everything was like super quirky because it was quirky.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it probably held up then, but it doesn't really hold up now. Is what I'm saying.
That's what I'm trying to say. Is that it is an artifact of that time.
When was this released? This was 2005, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not everything can hold up for 15 years. Some things don't even hold up for 6 months.
I mean, like 2005. That was after Garden State came out.
Movie I have not seen.
I feel like we referenced Garden State a lot.
Zach Braff movies are more worth it for the soundtrack.
Yeah, that I know. Like, apparently the soundtrack is like prime.
Garden State's a pretty alright film itself. The soundtrack's definitely the highlight. Wish You Were Here was a wankfest with a good soundtrack.
Also, while we're just talking about like Illinois and Chicago in general, I just want to mention that Chicago has one of the best city flags.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, have you seen the Principality of Y?
No, you better share that.
That's a dolphin with a crown.
Good. I'm happy for that dolphin.
Yeah, that's a micronation very much a micronation, self-proclaimed micronation, but at one guy's house in Mosman in Sydney, Australia.
Ah.
And
it
he
closes
made his
soon.
own flag and stuff. Yeah, I think he made it like a museum or something.
There.
It's the flag. It looks like a weird Union Jack with purple and white.
Is that for the Y or for something else?
It's for Y.
I think Y's had a couple flags.
The current. I'll post the current flag in the Discord. It's a pretty sweet flag.
Yeah, they've had this one's the greatest.
Looks like a bunch of arrows.
I can see that. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dolphin.
It's not a great flag in terms of design, but it's a great logo.
I would love to see that dolphin flag on a real flag, like someone sketching it out like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the point of flags is that they're not supposed to actually be too they're supposed to be quite simple because
you want a 5-year-old to be able to draw it from memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like one of the main goals.
I mean, Australia's flag is kind of still got a problem with its stars being kind of like I know what they represent and stuff like that, and it's not too bad. America's just a shit show of how many stars it's got on there.
Oh god, the American flag is just
yeah, it's. I mean, the actual proper UK and England ones are pretty good. Same with all that, which are really really simple. Cayman Islands is a fucking shit show.
Have you ever seen some of the U.S. state flags?
No, I don't really. We have state flags as well, but they're pretty much just the same as the Australian flag, but with a bit of a different color scheme. Like I think New South Wales is very, very similar, but like a lighter blue.
All right, think of like any like seal you can think of, just like a government seal. Doesn't even have to be American. And now put it on a blue bed sheet.
Oh god. So I'll
That's
be back
most
in a sec. It looks like some memes have gone down here on a different server that we've been in, so I'm gonna be muted for a bit.
Okay. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Some hot drama in the middle of things.
Some hot moderator action.
Oh boy. Yeah. Anyway, back to Chicago and Illinois. I don't know, like
deep dish pizza.
Deep dish pizza is great. You know, I'm not the most.
We only have Uno around here, so
Uno's good.
All right. I'll take your word for it.
Uno was like one of the first ones, if not the first one, to invent it or something like that. I forget.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I did a paper on pizza in college, surprisingly.
Yeah, you've mentioned that.
I need to find it. I had so many good pictures, both black and white and in color.
Yeah, I will read that if you.
I'll try to find it in the middle of the podcast. Hold on.
I mean, Red left, so there's no rules right now.
Yeah, but like I'm not the most patriotic person and all that. So for me, doing Illinois as an album is kind of the most I'm gonna get to that, because it's like it's a fun goof. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Like
I don't really have any New York patriotic albums, or I would do one.
I mean, there is a Sufjan Stevens ballet thing or whatever he did for New York and New Jersey and all that. So you could do one if you really wanted to.
Maybe I'll do. I already did Blue Oyster Cult, so they're kind of local to me, and so we'll say that was my patriotic album.
I mean, sure.
maybe I'll do Joe Boner Boy at some point, but
you keep talking about doing.
Yeah, I just don't want to subject you guys to like mediocre blues dad rock.
I think there are worse things.
All right, I am back. Sorry about that. Just a bit of a meme that I couldn't really exactly start spouting over a podcast. Other than that, Sufjan Stevens,
Sufjan Stevens.
Sufjan Stevens, man.
Sufjan Stevens. Have y'all seen that? I don't know if it was like a Funny or Die video or something, or Sufjan Stevens gets scared of like a Kate Bush video.
No.
I unfortunately have not seen that, but I'm actually going to talk about my favorite Sufjan Stevens moment in music, because he does the backing vocals for one of my favorite national songs, and what I think a lot of people's favorite national song is "Afraid of Everyone," where he literally just hums. That's really the only backing vocals that he does, but it's lovely as shit.
I'm gonna talk about his cover of Hotline Bling.
Nah.
That's also a thing. I really want to find it.
I'm very unfamiliar with Sufjan, and this is the first album I've listened to by him, if I'm going to be completely honest.
What did you think, the first timer?
It was an interesting album. It was pretty good. I don't know if I'll actively explore his discography as of right now, but I might dip into it later.
And yeah, Carrie Lowell is really good. There's a lot really good. I don't know. It's like one of those things where it's like he for his style, he is well known for that thing he does.
Fair enough.
Like he is known for like stuff like Casimir Pulaski Day and for John Wayne Gacy Jr. People still love Illinois, but the joke is like the calm acoustics and like the soft voice.
Yeah. I'm surprised my father isn't into him because he loves stuff like the Decemberists.
Yeah. Maybe it's because Sufjan is like, the joke is this about God or is it gay?
Yeah. Which I mean, my father has the signature of a gay black dude on his social security card. So.
Oh yeah, you were talking about it. He got it signed because he had nothing else.
By Doug Pinnock.
I found the PDF. I got the pics. Here we go.
Oh, the pizza paper. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I can't believe I'm going to share this. Okay, hold on. Yeah, this was a class. This was a geography class, and it became a photography class. It was like the biggest season shift in like anime history. Where I had to learn how to use film and take pictures.
Oh,
that's great.
you know the classic Tiger's Jaw debut album art?
No.
That's literally him. Like it's a picture of them eating pizza and just like pulling out a slice of pizza. And now I feel like that's just gonna be your next EP art.
Oh my god, it is
beautiful. I'm only on the fucking front page.
Oh my god. Oh, this is great. I'm gonna have to read this later.
Yeah. Hold on.
You get to see pictures of my dad in those.
Yeah. Hold on. So
on page 8,
Exhibit
C.
Exhibit C is my dad.
Now, no one posts to anybody just anything at the moment, just because I need to show. So I'm hoping that we make this the podcast art, just for the comparison picture to this album art.
I can make that the art. I can do that.
Yeah.
This podcast has just gone so off the rails.
Yeah, my dad was in Tiger's Jaw. So people won't really be able to know unless you make it the art. But it's just a picture of Dominic's dad just holding up a slice of pizza, like
he's like, here's the pizza. Take a picture.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about this class too was that the black and white pictures were worth extra credit.
Oh my god!
And it's like, it's pizza. Why do you want it black and white? Like, if you take pictures of black and white, it's extra credit. It's like, black and white does not do pizza justice, but here you go.
It does not.
Oh, there's another picture of my dad in black and white. Exhibit K.
Oh my god. This is beautiful.
The things you write in college.
Do we want to just end our Sufjan Stevens part now?
I already kind of said my piece on my favorite and least favorite.
Well, I mean, my favorite Chicago. I don't really have a least favorite, to be honest, because there's no song that I really dislike. I think this is...
Yeah, I just think the end drags on a bit too long.
I might somewhat agree, but I don't really, so...
I mean, like, if I had to pick a favorite, like, I mean, there's so many favorite. Like, at a certain point, listening to this for my notes, I just started writing down, like, which songs I liked, and, like, half of them are just songs I really like. So it's, like, half the album, I think, is like, my favorite. You know what I mean? Like, I think concerning the UFO is really great. Chicago, of course, is really great. And, like, the Predatory Wasp with the Palisades, I really love. And Casimir Pulaski Day, I really love. And if I had to pick one that I didn't like as much... It's probably the longest song, The Tallest Man, The Broadest Shoulders, because I think that's just... It doesn't bring what the other songs bring. But it's still fine.
So on to A Crow Looked at Me by Mount Eerie.
I thought we were gonna go Hääxxan first.
No, we gotta do Mount Eerie, and then we're gonna do Hääxxan the Calm Down.
Okay.
We've had immense joy and patriotism, and now we're just in Depressionville.
Yeah, I was crying before this episode.
Let's keep gazing upon these pictures of pizza to help us feel better.
I saw Dom's father. That's like the only joke I can make about that.
He's holding a pizza, and his grimace said, "Take the picture."
I was just trying to do Tiger's Jaw. I saw water with that.
You should make it really crappy and put it in the back of your car.
Yeah, I was planning it.
And then everyone will sing out of tune.
Man, how many times you gotta rip on that video?
Oh, not enough. Not enough.
No.
You brought up Tiger's Jaw, okay? It's organic to this episode.
It's understandable. Well, so Mount Eerie's The Crow Looked at Me. So for those who are somehow still unfamiliar with the context of this album, Phil Elverum's wife of how many years, I can't remember, unfortunately got diagnosed with cancer, and despite attempts to kind of crowdfund, get treatment for that, it was all kind of unsuccessful, and she unfortunately passed away end of 2016. And then Phil decided, hey, I'm depressed as shit. I'm going to write another album. And wrote it pretty much in the same room. It's all about the death. There's not really much more kind of else to say about that. It's not like, oh, look, in here he's talking about death, and then here somehow he's talking about in a swimming pool. No, it's just death.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic album. That's why it's kind of hard to say which one's number one out of these two, because they're both, despite being kind of in the same genre, they're somehow still both polar opposites.
Yeah, and then we have Hääxxan, which is like just a complete and polar opposite of everything else, or Chassan, as I should say, not Hääxxan.
If I can make a comparison, I think this is comparable to our Ween episode.
Yeah.
Where I think the winner is just Illinois, because like the Mollusk, it is a soundscape all of its own. It is a complete whole thing. It is an artistic masterpiece.
It's still hard for me to say.
It's hard. I think I'd actually put A Crow Looked at Me over Illinois, because this is the first album to like legit make me just cry.
I did not get there, and I don't mean that to be like some macho man. Oh, I didn't cry, boo-hoo.
No,
but I legitimately did not cry.
Crow just killed me at the end on this last listen, and I was just crying before this episode. I needed to go take a shower.
Like, I felt like shit when I listened to the album. Don't get me wrong. It just never went there.
It is just a punch to the gut and the groin and the face and just in the feelings.
Like, what I really love about Crow Looked at Me is how unconcerned it is with trying to make what is traditional music and what is like a chord that resolves, or a song that has like a chorus or verses. It is just guitar. It is just Phil.
Was kind of thrown out the window for this album, and
rightly so, because fuck music theory.
Yeah, I'm depressed. I just want to make music. Just help me cope. Exactly,
and that's what it takes, and that's what it should take to make an album. It shouldn't, it doesn't have to be I want to explore these things, even though exploring music theory is great, and you can do a lot of great things with it. But I think both can exist, and both are good in their own way.
Yeah.
Like, I like that half of these songs are just not really songs as much as just him strumming and singing about grief and depression and memories.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like, if you've been in the grieving process, this album is very raw, and it can hit you in ways you wouldn't expect. Like with in Toothbrush/Trash, where he's like, I finally worked up the courage to throw away the trash. It's like, it's just garbage, but it got a meaning to it that you can't explain.
Yeah,
you just prescribe these like crazy things like to inanimate objects.
Was it Swims where they talk about the counselor dying as well?
I think so. So what I was gonna say before, like with the whole music theory part, is like, well, these songs are actually quite structured. You look at them on first glance, and it's understandable too, because they're so soft and so minimal that you think that it is literally just strumming with no music theory. But you actually go into these songs and kind of go delve deep into them, dive into it, kind of actually read into it, and they're actually pretty structured.
It's not to say,
but they're not.
I'm not trying to say
very untraditional.
I'm not trying to say, he didn't think it through or anything like that. He did. Yeah. It's just that he took it a very specific route.
To, like Surya Maria or whatever it is. Like, I don't know if I got that right. Which is pretty much almost a microphone song.
Mm-hmm.
It has a lot of this kind of distortion that kind of happens in the middle of it, where guitars kind of start to build up, and it's still quite minimalistic. And this is one of the most minimalistic albums you'll probably ever hear, because it really only is guitars and vocals.
Yeah,
there is some piano in it. I noticed that.
There's also the oxygen machine
later in it.
The oxygen machine sound thing.
I missed that. Oh fuck! I'm glad I didn't hear that.
It's it was on several songs.
Yeah, if I had noticed that, that would have probably put me over the edge.
This is an album that I don't expect either of you to ever actually go back to, because it's hard to.
I might.
This is an album I'll go back to before I'm gonna clean my bathroom, and I just need to hit a low point so I can just have fun, just fucking thrashing around cleaning my bathroom or something.
Like I was saying
that's
before,
that's a very specific thing, but
I was saying throughout the week that 2015 to 2017, there were each of those years, there was one of the best albums, or one of the most talked about albums of the year, was this heavy cancer death album. Whether that's Carrie and Lowell, whether that's David Bowie's Black Star, or whether that's A Crow Looked at Me, all three of them are there.
This was also around that period was around the time my grandmother also died of cancer, so this album kind of hits a little hard for that. But
I like listen. Whoa! I hear myself echoing.
Yeah, I'm just hearing a lot of static and everything, and I'm watching the game, and my god, this ref is just terrible.
I hit my my little dongle. Sorry about that. I think that's what it was.
Okay, we're back.
Am I back now? Does everything sound fine?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta clean out my dongle.
That's some deep.
Take that out of concept.
That's some deep dishing with Chicago pizza. Am I right?
Yeah.
Fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say now. But I like listening to Carrie and Lowell. I like listening to songs about Black Star. So I could see myself returning to Mount Eerie for this album, at least.
This is as I said, this is a pre-bathroom cleaning album where I just need to get low so I can feel the extremes of jamming to butt rock while cleaning my bathroom.
I mean, it's not going to be I reckon the hardest one that's going to be for the whole of Phil Elverum's ones to kind of regularly go back to is going to be the one we're doing next week.
Yeah, because 40-minute song. Fuck.
Yeah. 44 minutes, 44 seconds.
I am so down to listen to that again. I really like that song.
I have not listened to it yet, but I'm just I'm not looking forward to just one 44-minute song. And it's not on streaming because he decided to not release it on streaming.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, which thankfully I have YouTube Music and I can just stream it through my streaming app anyways.
Yeah. Well, I bought it off Bandcamp during Bandcamp Fridays.
Yeah, but I just it's just
still waiting for the CD to hit red eye. Which one?
I mean, the video is so important to the experience too. It's not even really an album.
If we're gonna be talking about Blender albums next week, I'm gonna be the time I don't know. I had my phone down while I was listening to this.
My favorite was Indie Head Circle Jerk during the music survivors, the album survivors.
Yeah.
I guess what's the best song with this album? Oh my god, I'm gonna kill myself watching the fucking game. It's giving me an aneurysm.
Sports.
I'm just gonna not even gonna be attempting it, and it's just gonna happen because it's that frustrating. I can feel the aneurysm coming. they say it just happens. I swear there's some signs coming.
So is Jam talking to you right now? Like you can smell toast and Jam is talking to you.
No, that's a strike, isn't it?
As I was saying, I was making a joke more about Jam talking to you, like a different breakfast and a different. Never mind.
Okay. After listening to the Glow Part 2, Microphones in 2020, and A Crow Looked at Me, I'm gonna say I think A Crow Looked at Me is my least favorite of the three.
I definitely disagree. I wouldn't. I think. I think I'm in the opinion of Microphones in 2020 at the moment not being as good as everybody else has said it's been.
I have not listened to Microphones in 2020 yet.
We'll see next week when I give it more listens.
Yeah, for me, it's like the Glow Part 2, then 2020, and then this. And I really like all three. I think all three are going to be in my top 10 albums we've listened to on the podcast. But, yeah. Like, I don't know, like, maybe it's because I didn't have that breakdown everyone said I was going to have. I just listened to it as a story about someone grieving because they lost someone with cancer. I don't.
I guess there's more than just like, oh, they lost someone with cancer. I mean,
like obviously I've had family members who have died of cancer and stuff as well. I get that, I understand that, but I don't know. It's Phil Elverum, right? And it's like I listened to The Glow, and so in my mind he's kind of a character. I know it's kind of fucked up. Like that's how I guess I compartmentalize it. Right, so it's like he's a character in The Glow, and here he is as a character again, in a sense. He's so personal and talking about everything that goes on in his life.
I mean, yeah, I mean, things that are still very personal can still be crime. Like, I guess it's not really relatable is the word I'm going to be used, but I guess sympathy or empathy or whatever the word is.
Empathy, I think.
I guess we are going a bit more into the songs talking about as well. I mean, as I say, Real Death is the most song off this album, and it's probably, I guess, the one that's probably the most accessible, just because it's a kind of summary of the whole thing. But the more you go into this album, you hear songs like Seaweed or Forest Fire. I think one of the lines I remember, Trick said that they completely died on the first time. It was like bones and dust or something. I can't remember. I don't think of that.
I don't think of that the dust, the dust of your bones as you. I think of you as the sunset, and they just fucking crushed me in my first listen.
Yeah, leaving your wife.
That has crushed you now, apparently.
Am I sounding off? My bad.
Yeah, you just went like with a massive sigh. I've killed Tricks again.
And Crow is what really like it just started the waterworks on this listen, and I'm just like, oh god.
I mean, apparently their daughter is very smart at a very young age, and she can speak at like 1.5 and everything. That's really good. That's really smart.
Yeah.
And then like she's like, she murmured crow, and he's like, are you dreaming about a crow? She's like, does mommy swim?
Man, I'm still watching the game. I'm telling you, it's making me cry more than fucking Mount Eerie did. Holy shit. I don't like the sport anymore.
That's why I don't watch sports.
I don't watch sports.
I'm muting my mic here just to scream at the TV.
Yeah, I can't relate, but I understand your pain.
No one understands my pain.
Nobody knows the trouble I'm seeing. Nobody knows my sorrows.
See, the problem is that they they decided to make a change to the ruling because of Corona, that instead of having 2 refs, they'll only have 1, and one ref can only do so much. And then I realized there's touch judges on the side who get paid for more than me and do absolutely less. And that's what really breaks me down. So Trix is gone. Trix is back.
Yeah, sorry. I do that. That happens every week, it seems.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say, we talked about last week not knowing, or whatever week we introduced this album, not knowing about the writing on the cover. So I found it.
About the font or what?
The poem, the writing that
yeah.
he's holding in his hand on The Crow Looked at Me.
Yeah, the actual poem. Yeah.
And it's a poem called Night Palace by Joanne Kiger, who was a friend of Genevieve Castry, who was Phil Elverum's wife, who died.
Yeah.
And then I was reading how Joanne Kiger also died of cancer 2 days before the album came out.
That's something. Yeah, I actually did not know that. That's even more depressing.
Yeah, and so it's like,
this album is cursed.
You got his wife, you got his counselor, you got his friend who he used for the album. I mean, maybe it was a situation where he knew and he wanted to honor her as well. I don't know.
I mean, most people from who are dying of cancer don't die that suddenly. So
Right.
it was probably like, yeah, they probably didn't expect 2 days before, but they're probably expecting like, yeah, they haven't got much time left.
Right, so let's use this poem of yours just to kind of honor you and honor the friendship and everything.
I don't know when the album art was decided.
Yeah, it's hard to know. But that would be my guess.
Yeah.
Now, when he recorded the album in 2016, it came out early 2017.
Because this is the album that I kind of was like my proper introduction to whole Phil Elverum as well. Because I wish I could say that microphones and stuff are something that I've been listening to since a very young kid, but realistically, I think I found it off like just some site. I wasn't this album. I think it was Through the Trees or something. It was the first Mount Eerie song that I heard, and then I just sort of like, oh, this is his most popular one, Real Death. And I think it was just something as simple as seeing Fantana reviews saying, oh, it's actually a good album, give it a full listen, and then yeah, that's like that's actually how I got into this album. It's probably like the worst way to be introduced to an artist with something that's not exactly his whole discography.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's still, I mean.
Yeah, what I was saying before is that, according to Wikipedia, the album started recording in late August of 2016 and then stopped recording in December. Then I assume he mixed and mastered and held on to it until March of 2017 when he released it. So he only really had a handful of months there to kind of figure all that stuff out.
And I mean, for as simple as fast as this album was done, it really feels like an album that could have been created like over the span of a much longer time. Lyrically, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I even think the instrumentation on this is perfect, just because it fits the actual the tone that it's going for and what the lyrics are going for. There's no trickery over here. It's a complete direct way of saying exactly how he's feeling, how everything's going out there, and it's as much about his wife dying as it is about him.
Yeah, that's kid.
Mm-hmm. I was reading on I think on Wikipedia or something, but this album was pretty much recorded entirely with his wife's instruments.
Yeah,
that's another way to honor her.
Yeah.
Surprised you didn't have us do the live album after.
Yeah. So, I was debating actually putting Now Only as well in it, which is incredibly, like, they're all related with each other. Now, I like to put it as A Crow Looks at Me is kind of like part one, especially when you have Crow in both of those, and it's kind of like, all right, here's me talking about your death and how I've been coping and how everything is, and then
Right.
a part two is kind of, it's not a linear continuation. It's actually like, okay, now the second most important part about your death is talking about you as a person, and now Only's kind of like completely about Genevieve, whilst A Crow Looked at Me is kind of more about him, if to put it in that way. And then after it's just this live gig that he did that was kind of like, yeah, this is me doing a show about this album, because I wouldn't be surprised if he never really wants to play these songs again after that.
Yeah.
I apparently found it very weird to do a whole tour about this.
Spiritual Band-Aid.
So my team is coming back, so I like the game again.
We just go from me saying something like Spiritual Band-Aid to I like the game again.
Also, I don't want to.
We're only down by 6 instead of 16 now. It's all good. It's all good.
Oh my god.
I don't want to also pass judgment on his decisions or his choices, after his wife dying. But what was the whole thing about getting married to Michelle Williams about? Especially during all of this. I don't know how that really could have been a good idea.
So it's a bit like I think they were both involved in those parties, so kind of coming out of long relationships and just not really being so coping with being alone, because they married quite quickly and then also divorced quite quickly.
Yeah,
I think they kind of realized that after a while that what they're doing just wasn't going to work. I mean, I can't make too many claims. I don't know exactly how it is. And Phil himself, same with, I can't remember, Michelle, I think it was. They haven't been too vocal about it either, nor do they really need to be.
Right. It's their
kind of
life.
Just their personal life. And from what we've all seen, it could just be something as simple as, this is two people who are alone for the first time in a while trying to make something out of that, and then realizing it didn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes a little bit into it on his last Mount Eerie album, Lost Wisdom Part 2. Which it's but in the end, it's his personal life. There's not really much questions that we have answered about it, and not much that we really need to. I think he has an Indie Heads Ask Me Anything coming up pretty soon if you want to start probing into that.
I'm good. I don't want to dive into that for him.
I know exactly what I'm going to ask, and it's just going to be Rock and Roll Pee My Pants.
Rock and Roll Pee My Pants.
I fucking love that.
It's such a fucking mood. Rock and Roll Pee My Pants.
Oh, I'm just gotta do another complaint here. I'm muting myself.
I just unmuted myself, OBS, because I had to get some water.
Well, Rock and Roll and Pee My Pants, man.
Yeah, I don't know what was with that.
It's fucking art. That's what it is.
Phil Elverum, art. He's art man. Crow Looked at Me, very artful.
Yeah, only album to make me legitimately cry, and I needed a minute to just hop in the shower. I put on Häxxan. I was just fucking Shazam. I was just fucking needed a minute.
I mean, fair.
Yeah, I personally don't really have much more to go into it about it. We've kind of just gone into we've kind of just more gone into about Phil Elverum, but I guess that's kind of the point. This album's kind of about him. For those who have really only heard Real Death and are a bit afraid, kind of there is a reason to be. It doesn't really get better. It kind of just gets heavier. But the more you listen to it, the more you find some massive, kind of really great moments and some songs to actually come back to. Like Seaweed is an absolute crusher. Same with Forest Fire. A lot of people liked Ravens and Surya Maria. I think Surya Maria is the better one of that, even though that one kind of more fits in Now Only than it does in The Crow Looked at Me. But regardless, and then the closer, I think, is where it really kind of crushes, because it's kind of pretentious. It's kind of really simple, and I don't know really how much sense it makes, but it fits so well, and the way that it's sung just doesn't. It kind of just makes everything else about that not matter, and that's just enough for it to kind of be like, yeah, that's the kind of crushing moment for me. I'd probably say my favorite off here is probably like a Forest Fire, and my least favorite. I don't really have one, to be honest. If I absolutely had to pick, and I'm really only doing this because I chose the album, maybe my Chasm.
I'm not going to pick favorites or least favorites. I'm going to.
Me either.
We haven't also talked about Emptiness Part 2, and I can't even remember where Emptiness Part 1 was. If it even exists. I believe it does. I am now checking that.
I've not listened to all of his discography, so it probably exists somewhere.
Yeah, he has a very large discography. Anyway.
Large discography.
Hey, baby, you want to come back to my crib and maybe you can check out my very large discography? Yeah. Anyway.
Discography.
Let's go into the least favorite of the week, Hǎxxan.
I mean, to call it the least favorite.
I'm never going to pronounce it as anything else other than that, because I'm going
to call it the least favorite is, I guess, doing it a bit of a disservice, but I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I've kind of, but also, like, if you go into all of the albums we've done in this style, yeah, it's still the least favorite there.
I disagree.
It has the unfortunate curse is that we've gone into a lot of these albums, and a lot of them have done it better. You disagree? Which one do you think it's better than? What hot take are you about to have?
You already know what it is.
You gotta say it.
I liked this album more than the OCs. I like this album more than King Gizzard and Lizard.
Oh, wow.
Chips, I think we both agree that's one of the worst takes Dominic has ever had.
I mean, yeah, they're great, but I wouldn't say they're better than OCs or King Giz.
It was just a sound that I jived with more.
King Giz and OCs just did everything miles better. It's not that this album is bad. I don't want to put out.
It's garage punk.
But I wouldn't go to say good or great. I would just say it's kind of good, but that's really it. Just because.
I mean, it's more me saying I like this more than those bands when I've listened to them.
I think I'm surprised that this album is from 2014, to be honest. It actually sounds like something that would be out a bit more recently.
Oh yeah, it's an oddity, but it's really enjoyable. And YouTube just like fucking gave it to me out of nowhere, and they're like, "Hey, you might like this." I'm like, "Oh hell yeah, I do."
Like, I think Baby Cotty is super. It's a dope song. I really like Baby Cotty.
Yeah, baby catty.
Sure, Katy Catty Cotty.
Or however the fuck it is. Oh, baby cat.
Yeah, that's I hear Baby Cotty. Baby Cotty.
Yeah,
but like, I think this and Pigs X7 are my favorite ones that you've suggested in this style so far.
Pigs X7 did everything better as well.
I also really like Slift for what that matters.
Yeah, we're doing them in 2 weeks.
Yeah. I don't know. I just gravitated for specific ones, and I thought this was a great counter to everything that Illinois and A Crow Looked at Me was doing.
Oh, I definitely agree with that.
Like, I think,
yeah, this is such, like, having listened to those two, and then listening to, I'm not even going to say the name again. It's like, yeah.
Like, in some ways,
like a complete polar opposite to Illinois, I'd say.
Yeah. Like, in some ways it runs the risk of being overshadowed, but in other ways it is just so completely such an opposite that it stands out for being so different.
Yeah.
And, like, it's not a particularly, memorable album all the way through. It is not the best at every song working, and, as well as A Crow Looked at Me or Illinois even does. It's not like that at all. And I don't think it's meant to be. It's to be kind of like a fun jam thing. Kind of just get what you get. But I enjoyed the sound and I enjoyed what they were doing with it, regardless.
Yeah.
Is it as experimental and musically sound as King Gizzard or Slift or OCs? No. It's just that the sound I enjoyed more.
Yeah, it's just a fun little fuzz romp.
Like I think some of the OCs and stuff like that get really bogged down and trying to do real psychedelic shit, man. And it's like listen to this soundscape that makes you think of like a desert or whatever. And this just like, oh baby Connie.
Yeah, just like let's make some noise.
Yeah. Maybe I'm giving it so much attention because it's this week. I don't know.
I mean, to be honest, this is like one of the more forgettable of all the ones that we've done in here. But I think like we have a couple songs on here which I thought were actually like really nice, and they might sneak into a rotation at some point, but I don't see it being too lasting. Like Hail Selassie and You Got You on My Back, I think is some kind of like a big highlights in here. But then there's like it closes out and it's kind of a bit of a forgettable.
I think
moment.
Benzone is a good closer.
All right.
I like it. I mean, this kind of more feels like an EP than it's an album. Because
Yeah.
I like that it doesn't overstay its welcome at any point. I think it
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I feel like it also could have been longer. We could have had more that they could have tried to do and something like that. I mean, this is just a debut and stuff like that. You may as well have a bit of a go, even if it doesn't always hit. It's not like it's not like they were going to become successful whether or not this was the greatest album of all time or not, because that's just not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now they're living in Germany from Tel Aviv, so.
But I reckon they should have experimented a bit more. Had a couple more tracks that have just tried something different, because I wasn't expecting Out of Here to be like absolutely wild anyway. And I definitely see that the potential in this band. Maybe if I listen to the album they put out in 2018, maybe I'll be more pleasantly surprised.
The Loch Ness Rising.
Yeah.
That's not them.
Oh no, the Magnificent.
Oh yeah, the
Alien.
yeah, their second album. They
The
have
Vampire.
2 albums and an EP.
The Vampire album has music videos too, which I checked out. You can see what they look like in one of them. It took me forever to find out their names, too, which was, I had to go.
Well, it's on their Discogs page.
That was the only place I found it, and it took me a while to get there.
Yeah, I found their live. I found live performances of their first album, some of their first album, and they have the stage presence of some cardboard cutouts.
Really?
Yeah.
Because on the other stuff, they go pretty hard. Like the music video and stuff, they go.
I think this was like recorded for the first album and like just put out there, so like they might have still just been finding their way, but it's like they were stiff.
Damn. All right. I think Yuri Renner, the drummer, he was really good. I really like the drums.
Yeah, everything in this album it's an incredibly tight sounding album.
Yeah,
they're just rhythmically all together, like it's one big rhythm section, really. If that makes sense.
Does anyone know what Hail Selassie even means?
Nope.
It just kind of sounded like chanting.
Yeah.
Look, what's the point of Nonagon Infinity opening the door? Does that actually really mean anything?
Open the door.
Probably not. But is it awesome?
Open the door.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I mean, it kind of does mean something, but still, the point is, it wouldn't have mattered if it actually meant something or not. It's still just awesome.
Yeah.
It's like System of a Down's Chop Suey, where no one actually understood what the hell they were saying.
Meaning is there if you want to find it.
The point is, it doesn't matter if it has a meaning or not. It can have one.
That's true. It's what you gain from it as well. It's what you take away from it.
And like
I think the lyrics on which song was it? One of the songs had just lyrics that sounded like I think what I think was like I have a big straw hat, I wear it on my head or something like that.
Yeah, I appreciate that they're singing in English, though.
Yeah.
I know it's not their first language.
Yeah. Like I think it was Oh No, where it was like you hear like I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, and I'm probably wrong, but it really sounds like they're saying I got a big straw hat, I put it on my head or something like that.
It could be. But that's what you're talking about with straw hats earlier, huh?
Yeah.
I think Sufjan Stevens has a straw hat or two.
Also, I just noticed the joint in the skeleton's mouth.
Oh, there's a joint in there?
Yeah. Or like a cigarette
Yep.
or something.
Yeah, it's at the bottom right. Just like, because that's teeth.
Yeah, like clenched between the teeth. I'll circle it.
When you talk about straw hats, I thought you were talking about this.
I keep getting, every time you say straw hats, I keep thinking of strawmen and like, what argument's happening here?
And then there's Sufjan Stevens in a straw hat.
And then there's Mount Eerie.
And then
I
there's the
lost my
cigarette.
hat. Sufjan Stevens is buying the straw hat. Häxxan is wearing the straw hat. And Mount Eerie is losing the straw hat.
There.
A tale of the straw hat. That's 100% going to be the title of this episode, isn't it?
Tail of the straw hat. I'll write it down.
And then we'll
It's gonna be the
Photoshop a
tail of
straw
the
hat
straw
on your
hat,
dad.
and it's just going to be a picture of your dad eating pizza.
And we'll Photoshop a straw hat on him.
I'll Photoshop a straw hat somewhere in there.
Remember how we did pixelated album art at the start? We're just doing this.
We
I
did
feel
one.
like we found our style, and I like that.
We did one recently.
We did one for Ween.
Yeah.
That was a throwback.
I now wonder if people are going to think we're pixelating it to censor it, though.
No, we're just doing it for fair use.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do album art that week, so I was like, "Can you just do it?"
I'm like, yeah, sure.
Well, we finally found a way to immortalize my dad. So he's currently sleeping in the other room. He's okay, but he'll be in this podcast that 10 people will watch.
Tens of people.
Tens. There are dozens of us. Dozens. Man, Arrested Development is such a good show.
I've only seen like the first half of the first season.
The thing they're gonna do.
Season 4 is a bit air. Season 5 I haven't finished, but the first 3 seasons are so fucking good.
I've heard that.
What I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a straw hat on the pizza.
Nice.
Maybe his hand. We'll see.
I've got my Photoshop app open right now.
You want to Photoshop that picture live? Here we go.
I'm doing it live.
Look, I haven't got much more to say other than Häxxan, about Häxxan, other than, yeah.
It hacks.
I'll probably go into the discography at some point if I can be fucked, but we'll see. I think my favorite is probably Hail Selassie, or fuck, what was it? You Got You on My Back. Number 1991 was an alright opener as well. I thought the closing half was pretty mediocre after Hail Selassie.
Wow.
So, yeah, I don't know. That's just how it worked for me. So, yeah, that's really my opinions on this.
For me, favorite easily Baby Cotty. Loved it. Least favorite Pilgrim. Not Pilgrim. Pilgrim.
I'll agree with that one.
All right, shall we do the most daunting task? The ranking of the albums this week.
Easy for me. I'll do it first if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Number 3 is Häxxan. I still enjoyed it, but it's number 3 because it has to be. Number 2 is A Crow Looked at Me. Because I do like listening to this album. I think it's a great album. It's going to be in my top for sure. But I think Illinois is such a masterpiece. It is such a huge work. It is such a thing. So massive. It has to win. It has to be.
I'm going to let Trix go next.
I'm gonna agree
It's
with
number one.
Dominic.
Completely.
Pretty much, yeah. I might. Yeah, I'm gonna put Illinois and A Crow Looked at Me more equal than more. So it's gonna be like A Crow Looked at Me and Illinois are kind of more sharing the top spot for me.
I am in complete agreement. I feel like if you told me a ranking that I had to do a force 3 to 1, still in the same agreement. I think Illinois kind of just beats A Crow Looked at Me, but I also kind of consider them both to be number one. But if you made me forced to do a 1, 2, 3, then at least today I'm thinking, yeah, Illinois probably.
Yeah.
That's the one from all of us, almost, kind of, technically.
I would count it as a 1 from all of us being Illinois in this state because we've kind of all said yeah.
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 It's like a Middle East and Neutral Milk Hotel, except Neutral Milk Hotel probably had that a bigger gap.
This time it's Sufjan Stevens and Mount Eerie. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just different. It's different bands, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Indie darling versus depressing album. Anyway, that leads us to what is next.
Well, I've already spoiled mine, so microphone in 2020. That's a beautiful picture.
I love it.
Straw hat on the hand there.
I love it. That's it. That's the artwork.
So, a microphones in 2020 is my next pick. There's no spoilers about that because it's already been spoiled.
For me, I went back and forth a couple times. I was figuring maybe I wasn't going to do this and I was going to change it. But I think I'm just going to do it. Because why not? Like, I'm kind of a little exhausted right now. And maybe, I was thinking about doing something a little bit simpler. But fuck it. We're doing Flying Lotuses Until the Quiet Comes. That's Flying Lotuses Until the Quiet... I can't fucking speak. Flying Lotuses Until the Quiet Comes. Period.
Until the quiet comes. Yep.
All right.
Got some free jazz fusion going on here. This is an album I would suggest listening to in full all the way through. That's all I'll say.
Sounds good. I'm going to be busting into the stoner rock with a German band. We're going to be doing Samsara Blues Project. What's the name of the album again? Hold up. Or Samsara Blues Experiment. The album Long Distance Trip.
Okay.
That is Samsara Blues Experiment Long Distance Trip.
Damn, that's a 22-minute song. Here we go, lads.
Oh, damn.
I warned you.
Is it one of those?
Yeah, we got an 11-minute song, a 5-minute song, a 10-minute song, a 13-minute song, another 5-minute song, and then a 23-minute song.
I gotta look at this.
Yeah.
Oh
While
goodness.
Dominic's looking at that, I have been.
Goodness.
You can catch me at my website, villainforkids.github.io. You can also check out my YouTube channel in the description below.
I have been Tricks. You can catch me on Twitter at procrastronaut_. That's like procrastinating astronaut with an underscore at the end of it. I have a YouTube channel where I do bass stuff, and we also have just a Dissonant Waves website, dissonantwaves.space. And yeah, I need to get on that. I'm bad at websites. And
I just burped.
We also have a Twitter account at Dissonant Waves.
And I'm Dominic. You can catch me on Twitter at DACICHOCKI. I'm also on tiltingwindmillstudios.com. It is tiltingwindmillstudios.com. I've realized in past recordings it sounds like I'm saying Tilted Windmill Studios, but it's tiltingwindmillstudios.com. Thank you for your time and attention.
We'll catch you next time.
Yes.
Actually, at the end of the episode now. Shit.